Jamming with History. Prologue and Chapter 1. First Confrontation. Prologue. Roman was a nerd. Not the kind his parents were hoping for, but a nerd nonetheless. He loved theater and history, well, mostly the artsy and queer parts. He had a Tumblr account where half his activity was arguing back and forth with some guy who insisted on finding flaws and inconsistencies in his posts or his favorite movies. It was one of the few places he could really be himself, aside from theater. Other than that, he tried to keep to himself. There were certain individuals at school who took any excuse to mess up his day if he took up too much space in theirs. He was in the middle of drafting a passionate defense of Disney's Hercules and the many references it held, already guessing what his online frenemy would have to say about it. It was a nice Friday afternoon. School was out and he didn't have to be home until dinner. He was sitting on a bench at the park. It wasn't his smartest move. Why?
Dude, you okay?
Roman looked up. The king of high school, Virgil had just fallen off his skateboard and was laughing it up.
Yeah, man, I told you, I bumped the Reaper out ages ago. He's not coming for me anytime soon, he joked as he got up.
That was why everyone, and yes everyone, liked him. Nothing seemed able to touch him. He was also one of the few people in school, who wasn't in theater with him, that hadn't made Roman's life hell for no good reason yet. The same didn't go for his friends though. So sitting here, where they might spot him, was just asking for trouble. Still, he liked to watch them skate. It looked so cool, and it was inspiring. He'd sketched and written a lot of good stuff in this spot. It was the fearlessness, the freedom. The very handsome guy laughing at his own misfortunes.
No, not going there.
Virgil didn't even know he existed. If he did, he'd probably treat him like crap like everyone else. They had English and history together, but they might as well be from different planets. And it would likely stay that way until graduation. That is until... Alright class, so this project will be for 40% of your final grade, and no, you can't pick your partner. First pairing, Virgil Sanders and Roman Fernandez. He was dead. Chapter 1. First Confrontation. Roman looked over to Virgil's spot. He seemed very unbothered by this pairing, and why would he be? Roman looked like the kind of guy he could bully into doing all the work and getting him an A+. Which was true, honestly. His parents wouldn't let him partake in theater club or any artistic activities if his grade dropped below an A on any subject they deemed important. In other words, everything not sport or art related. History happened to be one of 3 subjects he actually was interested in. That along with English and Spanish. Roman was determined not to be bullied into this though. Not without some sort of fight. Virgil saw him looking and gave him a smirk and a 2-fingered salute in acknowledgement. Roman gave a small wave in return before looking back ahead. He was so smug. Thought he had it made for this semester. But Roman would not make it that easy. Even if he did end up doing everything, he'd be sure to gather evidence of how much work he put in to show the teacher at the end of the semester. That would show him. Yo, meet me at the youth house after school. 4 o'clock. Bring a list of subjects you like. Then we can figure out the details, okay? Roman looked up in surprise, clutching his backpack to his chest. The teacher had told them they had to work on their project on their own time for now. Near the end of the semester they'd get some time during class. Their period was over and Roman had not expected Virgil to approach him first. The youth house? Shouldn't we go to the library? He asked, perplexed. Virgil chuckled. Everyone will be there, Tetch. We're just brainstorming anyway. I don't have that much time today, so don't be late. See you there. And just like that, Virgil left the class. Roman was confused. That sounded almost like he was planning to contribute. Was this a trap? And why did he call him... Wait, was that a Disney reference? The rest of the day Roman was mildly distracted, trying to figure out what to expect. He made the list Virgil asked for over lunch, but even then he was wondering if it was some kind of trick to flatter him into doing most of the work. On his way to his next class, he paid for his chaotic thoughts. "Watch where you're going, nerd!" Chet, quarterback of the football team, growled as he shoved him against the locker. Roman clenched his eyes shut, praying his glasses would survive this encounter. "Hey, Chet!" Roman, along with Chet and his posse, turned to see Virgil and his buddies approach them. "Do you have to be a walking cliché?" Virgil taunted. "What? Why?" "Cinders? What do you care?" Chet demanded. "Other than me being a decent human being?" he asked. "Other than that ganging up on a guy who can't punch his way through a wet paper towel is just sad?" he continued. Some people laughed, and Roman felt kind of insulted. He wasn't that helpless, was he? "He's working on a project with me. I'd like him to focus on that and not stress over you and your buddies being pieces of crap." He glanced back to his buddies. A few of them looked away, others nodded. What was that about? Virgil looked back to the jocks. "So listen, you want to stew in your toxic masculinity the rest of the year? Fine. But you leave the rest of us out of it, understood?" Chet let go of Roman, who stumbled back to his feet, pulling his suspenders back onto his shoulders and writing his glasses. "Oh, and what are you going to do about it?" he growled lowly, as he came toe-to-toe with Virgil. "1. Everyone take note. He did not deny the Gaston levels of toxic masculinity." Virgil grinned, looking around. Again, some people laughed. "2. You do not want to admit me, Chet. You don't scare me, which makes me your worst nightmare. Now, back off." Chet huffed and stormed away, taking his team with him and grumbling something under his breath. Roman looked to Virgil, who was being led away to his next class by his friends, getting praises and pats on the back. His whole group was stoked to have won this standoff, it seemed. Roman, meanwhile, was stuck on 2 things. 1. That was his second Disney reference. And 2. Was this how he was going to pay for not having to do the work? Like some kind of mob boss? He should not have drawn that comparison, because his overly active imagination ran with that idea. The idea of Virgil in a suit making him, a struggling bar owner, an offer he could not refuse, was a gay panic waiting to happen. But he had made his decision. He would refuse. He'd rather go through high school hell than sell out. One might argue that if he was going to end up doing the project with or without his help anyway, to keep his parents happy, he might as well negotiate as many perks as he could. But his pride would not permit it. So, with his list and his decision in mind, he headed to the youth hut.